I'm Kendall. I grew up around the beach, but I never really grew up going to church until right before high school when a friend invited me to Beach Students, and I pretty quickly got involved. So, coincidentally, right around that same time was when I was really getting into social media. That's the age when I started making a Facebook account and then later an Instagram and all of that stuff. So, I was always really into social media. I loved the creative aspect of it, I loved being able to connect with people. But over the years, I definitely started to struggle more with the pressures of social media, with comparing myself to others and just being so focused on the person I was creating myself to become online. While I was away at college, I ended up rededicating my life to Christ, and it was in that time that I really began thinking a lot about what it looked like to actually follow Christ in my everyday life and what God wanted me to do and how to best glorify Him in my everyday life. And then shortly after that, I actually ended up interning in Beach Kids. And one of my big projects that summer was to create all of their social media and run that for them. And through that, I really began to discover my passion for managing social media for ministry specifically. I just had so much fun with that, and that inspired me to kind of take a look at my own social media and how I can best honor God within that. And so I began to just post a little bit more about everything that God was doing in my life at that time, posting about kids camp and the mission trips I was going on and the student group that I was leading. And I knew that even though I didn't have a huge influence, that I could potentially be having a positive influence that pointed people to Jesus. One day I was on campus at the Starbucks, and I ran into this girl that I was friends with in high school but hadn't seen in years, and we were just talking, catching up, and she was like, "Hey, I've noticed that you've been posting a lot about church and God and all that. Like, can you just tell me a little bit about that? Like, what's going on?" And that just really confirmed that calling for me, and that example just was really God telling me this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're doing the right thing. And so that's just carried on over the years, and I've always tried to honor God through the things that I'm posting on my personal social media and then the social media that I run for the church. And so today I actually work in Beach Students, and part of my job that is definitely my favorite part of my job is running all of our social media for our student ministry. I believe this generation is just really absorbed with social media. I think we all know that. And so it's just so important to me to meet them where they are. And these days that's on Instagram and TikTok. And so I think it's so important to just come where they're at and meet them right beside there. My goal with Beach Student social media is that a student just looking at our posts can encounter Jesus from that before they even walk through the doors of the church. A lot of times social media gets such a bad rep, which, don't get me wrong, there are lots of bad things that happen on the internet, but Jesus calls us to be a light in the darkness, and I think that's so important and translates to the digital world too. I think God calls us to proclaim His name publicly and testify about all the great things He's done in our lives, and who's to say that can't be a Facebook post? Whether you have 20 followers or 20,000 followers, that's a platform that God has given us, and I think that it's really important to use that platform to spread His name.